Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Beyond Uncut. Today, I have some disturbing news for you. The United States of America has named Jamaica and four other Caribbean nations on a newly put together drug list that they would have put together to determine the routes of drug trafficking throughout the Caribbean. We saw what happened with Venezuela. Just the other day, another boat was bombed by the United States, and the US said that there were drugs on that boat, killing about 3 or 4 people. Previous to that, around 11 people died when a US missile destroyed what they said was a drug boat off the coast of Venezuela. So United States of America has launched a war on drugs in the Caribbean region, and they have singled out Jamaica and four other Caribbean nations. In this video today, I will explain to you exactly what is happening in the Southern Caribbean and what the United States would have done in the Southern Caribbean and what they plan to do. Now, some weeks ago, a military buildup happened with around 8 warships headed to Venezuela, off the coast of Venezuela, a number of submarines, hundreds of soldiers and marines. Helicopters were seen flying from Puerto Rico, all headed to the south of the Caribbean in the region of Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela. And the US goal is to eradicate drugs in the region. But at what cost? Would they be invading Caribbean nations and say they're looking for drugs? Will they bomb sites on Caribbean island nations and say those were drug warehouses or drug traffickers they bombed? When does this end? And how do we know when the United States would have completed or found its mission in the Caribbean? How do we know? And my friends, let me just read for you this article here. This article is coming from the Jamaican Gleaner, and it says four Caribbean countries have been listed in the US President Donald Trump's determination on major drug transit on major illicit drug producing countries for physical for the fiscal year 2026. This was submitted to the United States Congress. According to the document, Trump has identified the Bahamas, Belize, Haiti, and Jamaica, four Caribbean nations, as major transit or major illicit drug producing countries. This is serious, my friends. The other countries named are Afghanistan, Bolivia, Burma, and the People's Republic of China, Colombia, Costa Rica, the Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, India, Laos, Mexico, Nicaragua, Pakistan, Panama, Peru, Venezuela. So you see, my friends, a number of South American countries were named. This explains the US military buildup in the area. What is the US planning in the Southern Caribbean and South American countries or Caribbean nations? Trump noted that the country's presence on the list is not necessarily a reflection of its government's counter-drug efforts or level of cooperation with the United States. But he said, consistent with the statutory definition of a major drug transit or major illicit drug producing country outlined in the Foreign Assistance Act of 1961, the reasons countries are placed on the list is the combination of geographic, commercial, and economic factors that allow drugs or precursor chemicals to be transited or produced even if a government has engaged in robust and diligent narcotics control and law enforcement measures. He said that Afghanistan, Bolivia, Burma, Colombia, Venezuela have failed to demonstrate during the previous 12 months to both adhere to their country's obligations under the International Counter-Narcotics Agreement and to take measures required by the FAA. Trump told Congress that transnational organized crimes, trafficking of fentanyl and other deadly illicit drugs into the United States has created a national emergency, including a public health crisis in the United States that remains the leading cause of death for Americans aged 18 to 44. He said that both 40% of Americans know someone who would have died from an opioid overdose, and in 2024 the United States averaged over 200 deaths daily due to illicit drugs. Wow. Trump spoke on various measures being implemented by the administration to keep the country safe from drug dealers, including the use of full-range law enforcement and military resources. This is what is happening in the Southern Caribbean with this massive build-up. This goes on to say, while the United States President gave details accounts of the drug situation in some of the countries identified as major transit or illicit routes producing drug countries, he did not give any specific explanation for putting the CARICOM countries on the list. Well, my friends, the actions are clear. The United States of America was vague with the four Caribbean countries named. But we can see the actions of the United States of America. They're not sending warships over to China, to Pakistan area over there, but they would have sent them to Venezuela or off the coast of Venezuela. So the United States is setting up military presence in the Southern Caribbean, and they have already listed their reasons for doing so. Drugs. They would have started a war on drugs in the Caribbean. But when does this end? And how can we be guaranteed that Caribbean nations would not be invaded by US Marines looking for drugs? We have to keep a very close eye on what is happening in the Southern Caribbean, my friends, because this is serious business. And the United States is not giving any clear details on what its plans are, but we know just before any war or intervention, they list either a threat that they see a country as a threat, or drugs, or terrorists, things like that. So we at Beyond Uncut will continue to keep an eye on this developing story. But let me know what you think about this. Comment your thoughts and opinion on what you think about this bizarre story of 4 Caribbean nations named in a drug list that Donald Trump would have put together, which have countries on it that they deem are trafficking countries, and countries that are in the root of drug trafficking and producing countries. Madness, my friends. The mission of my channel is to bridge the gap between the African continent and the African diaspora, because we're one people separated by a brutal transatlantic slave trade and colonialism. If you're watching for the first time on this channel, I react to breaking news that affect the African continent and the African diaspora, which includes mostly the Caribbean nation islands. You can join this channel and become a channel member. By you becoming a channel member, this will go a long way in supporting the mission of this channel and to bring our people together as one. Almost knocked down the camera there. But my friends, like the video, share it with all your friends and family, comment your thoughts and opinion, and let me know what you think about this topic. I also have a travel channel. The link is in this description box as well. You can go on over and subscribe to that channel, and let me know what you think about it. But let me know what you think about this topic for today, of the United States putting Jamaica and 4 Caribbean countries in all on their newly put together drug list of countries. Let me know your thoughts and opinion. Let me know if you're watching from Jamaica, where you're watching from in the Caribbean, because this is serious news, my friends. My name is Beyond. This is Beyond Uncut. Thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you tomorrow in the next video. Much love and bye-bye.